Hey there, Pisces. I'm Joy here to take an intuitive peek into the energies going on around you. Friends and subscribers, welcome back. I'm glad to have you at this channel, and it seems, Pisces, there is some challenge going on. Now, I know this doesn't look very challenging. That looks fruity and wonderful and divine and delightful. But what you're telling me that it's been feeling like is something else. You're like, what the hell is going on? You're like, I'm so tired of this buggery. I don't even know what it is. Like, I'm going to post a video on the nodes, the node shift. We're going to bring this in. We're going to wrap this in and land this ship, Pisces, because you just having to fly around doing the flyby forever, waiting to ever land is too much. It's time for you to have a home. It's time for you to wake up here on earth and to be safe, to have a place that is for you without having to submerge who you are for the sake of so many others, all right? And I love that along with it is coming in this theme of episode number 2, in deep knowing. So 43, they're talking about consecration of your peace. Look at that sweet little owl. Okay, now neither here nor there about, we're not talking about totems or things like that. I'm talking when energies come in to communicate. Now, typically the owl can come in with interference, spying, things like that, not the owl itself. It lets me know the energies that are going on around you, especially if you're dealing with other masters, all right? But in this case, you are the master that you're dealing with. It's the mastery therein of what your mind, your body, and your soul coming to be inhabited by your spirit. And that puts peace on the owl's eyes. That's not just here, it's inside the head, but it's also in the hips. And that's what the Hanged Man is all about. When your world begins to turn itself right side up, it's that recalibration is what we're asking to come in here, of justice, of the eyes. Both the eyes of the heart, you see these two right here? Okay, and the eyes of your head. As you open the chambers and gates, which is what Chiron's been coming in to do, he had me sequester for a little while to go through this energy with him, the dimensionality and the intensity of it, in order to clear a path, like to go before you to clear a path so that then we can walk through it in a stepwise, small bite manner. He's also the one that I realized that was showing up, having me break down those readings into multiple parts so that we could learn to chew our food and process it and reflect it. She's lighting up again. To have a day between those moments, a breath, an inhale and exhale, and expansion and a contraction, Saturn and Jupiter, which is married together through this era of plasma. That's when the era of plasma comes on in, okay? And that's when we begin to get our directionality set. I could call it the grid, but then that might be confusing because there's earth and grid and other things we're going to talk about around here. Point said. They're bringing in the balance of your eyes after this long journey. This is what it looks like for you, not just healing, because it's health and wealth that go together. Your chart being restored unto you. You coming into the fullness of your chart, into the authority, the power, and the permission. Okay. In your potential and your actual. In the balance of your eyes, in the fullness of your mind. That's what this deep knowing is. This penetration isn't this way, y'all. They're talking to me. It's funny because, you know, Prince, you know, that Prince, he comes in talking to me, y'all. But anyways, he says, y'all see everything so flat because you're trained in school to see flat imagery. But here, it's not the moon, the owl, and then my soul is talking about this way, y'all. It's the wholeness of the mind, not just the halves coming together, but the fullness of the mind. It's the mastering of the moon, which is why we'll get into the nodes, because we're going to do away with that tossing about of the ship. We're thinking that we have to earn or burn. And I don't mean money, y'all. I'm talking about our energy, that phoenix energy, because this is what it looks like. Now, what I've found in energy societies, a lot of times the phoenix can be glorified. That's not what I'm given to teach. There are moments of glory in everything, y'all, and that with breath filling our lungs and wonderfulness with whatever they're teaching. But what I know that they're leading me to talk about this season here is this is very much what the phoenix has been looking like. This is what it has felt like for you, where on the outside, everybody's like, oh, you grand high priest, high priestess. Oh, yes, you know so much. You always overcome. You're patient, you're kind, you're tolerant. Look how blue in the face she is. This is you with that Piscean energy of having to keep the balance, having to keep it going. I mean, that's what's going on here. This is the lower fish in the Piscean symbol, okay? And squatting on your head, that might seem all sweet and cute, y'all, but that duck thing, it's like it's time to get a move on because there's poop up in that nest, and we don't need that trash and debris up in your mind, and you're like, I know. That's you blasting out the sound there through your mouth because you had enough. You want to put an end to it. That's what these are going on here together. Look at that. You don't have to be the starlet darling to earn any sort of attention or care. Look at that. This is what was modeled for you in your garden. And this is what keeps repeating. That's the cycle that we're doing away with. That was this being restored after the journey, because something in you knew that that was not love. Something in you knew. Something in you knew that that was not love. Okay? So, yes, you're a channel. Yes, hummingbird, the high heavens appreciate, and they're so thankful. And that's what's coming in now that plasma is landing in very much Aquarian type energy to breathe life back into the soul, to get you on the same page with the synchronicities of life, of living what words would say the good life, but that's not actually what it means. It means in the flourishing, and the balance, and the flow, the health and the wealth, the happiness and the wholeness, the satisfaction and the fulfillment. And that's this profusion of butterflies flying forth for the heart. They're talking about, in order to move into this life and overcome, we'll love to overcome this type of sorrow, soddenness, and sadness, and that incongruence, that dip in the chart, that skip in the record. It's not like bringing your journey to a close, but definitely bringing it to a destination you. They're literally saying hashtag you. Bring it to destination you, right here. Because see, while we're looking at this card, this chart is looking at me, and it's saying press the button, press the button. Press the button, time to power up. What button? Like when you get to the end of the line, smack the button that you got there first and you completed it. All right? Press the button, be a winner. Be a winner in your own chart, in your own self. And that's this light, this fluming up here, fluming up in the goldenness self, coming on in, bringing into awaken your creativity. It's the amber in the 15. The power is in you. You know, they say, Dorothy, you had the power all along, my dear. Let's just say it this way. The power is in you. And what power is that? This is your encouragement card, my friend Pisces. Let's say it together if you'd like. It's just a suggestion here, but this is an affirmation for yourself. So I'll say it first, and then I'll say it again so we can say it together if you'd like. The universe always has my back. The universe always has my back, and it has yours too. I'm excited about that. I love it because I have it sitting with my crafted amethyst wand. Absolutely perfect. Coming in at this time for us to penetrate into the self, into that true deep knowing, into the fullness of the mind, that having it work as a whole, that there's no disambiguation. There's that Ten of Swords again going, I'm so tired of all this being good and being right and being enough. Okay, well, some notes. So let's roll on from there and let's jump into this. Hangman and Justice, we have them sitting here with Hummingbird in the circle. And we're going to get into finding out a little bit more about this thing that you were so sick and tired of, how to rise up, how to move out of it. For one, they've taught me a lot about dismissing compromise in my life and tolerance, because those are energies that afford poor behavior. Matter of fact, they entertain it. And because you can keep pushing to a level of such hierarchy and justice that the world around you just keeps going to pot. And this is how you end up, okay, being the Jupiter, the expansion, the bigger one. And that's important. But they're talking about us getting into our chart, that destination of our journey, getting into ourselves, into the time for us. And that's what I love, because it's going from the Ace of Cups, where all these butterflies, where you're being this channel, this open channel through your heart, through the purity of your heart, the one who has endured, okay, the depths, the desert, that whole thing, okay, suppression, to noticing like there's one tiny butterfly, that this miracle, this love, this life is for you as well, okay? And so that we're bringing it into this as you begin to get in your chart, everywhere you go, there you are. Living, breathing essence of that butterfly, or in this case, the hummingbird. Moving on in, speed of light, the speed of delight. Oh, I love it. That is landing, because look, there's the owl, y'all, making its way in. This is like you in your chart, in the center of yourself. Look at that happy face. Happy, pleased as punch. What would it be like to wake up every day pleased as punch with yourself? That's unconditional. When you have yet to even face the day, pleased as punch with yourself. Let's talk about that being the new Saturnian energy, coming in with the Jupiter and the Sun merging in. And also there is some Martian energy, Mars, which will be flashing, all right, from time to time. Don't get that confused with your Sun, all right? So we're going to split the deck. One up, one down. Very interesting. And we're gonna drop it here. Let me see if I want to bring it down. Yeah, I will bring it down to me. All right. We got a double thing going on over here with Screaming Mimi on the Ten of Swords. Judgment. All right. Do I know what they mean by this card? Okay. Judgment isn't what we pass on others. I know grammatically that's what we would say. But judgment is the ability to know left from your right, front from back, up from down. Remember the layers of the mind that we were talking about? To look at this dimensionally, right? There's so much more to it than that. It's simply a directionality. It is like the compass of your chart. Where are you also? Because that's actually here. They call it the circle, but I'm calling it the compass. This is like the top of this machine that you're in, your chart, all right? Bringing the end to completion, meaning wholeness. It involves you. It requires you. It longs for you. It looks for you. So take your place in that. And then it does away with this, that excessiveness. Because where we were talking about tolerance and compromise, compromise would be like, okay, I'll cut my arm off so you can have your arm. That's what they mean when they're talking about the compromise, that we can break things down in these bits and pieces of what seems to be logical to our mind. But Hummingbird has come in to show us that dimensionality, that there's so much more. That's what the journey is about. Okay? The journey is just like that roof on our directionality, is that our head is now pointing up. Great communication device. So with that, I also want to talk about the Two of Discs. It says you were wondering, sorry, I'm covering the both. It says you were wondering about that. You're wondering about that with the King of Swords, the Emperor, and the Two of Cups. Okay, it was a small spread, so they're all coming in together. It's like owning your own power in your mind, stake that you have a stake in this claim. You do the whole thing, your whole mind, whole-mindedness, because Aries represents our head. It represents our initiative. So your initiative to have happy and healthy relationships, 12-12, for who was wondering. I love that. Establishing them. Yes, yes. Vote for us here on earth as it is in heaven. Because look at that. Doing away with this. That was what had been ingrained and trained on your mind. But I love it because this journey that you've been on has been setting forth that we could call it the freedom, but really it's the liberation of your mind. Because see, that bird isn't flying free of you, away from you, separate from. It is one with you. Okay, it is one with you. And I love it because he is down here. Okay, we put the medicine on that, people, is down here with him. And I don't think she's ready to come in just yet. She has a little bit more of the shadow. Just a little bit more till we know. Till you know what you're really made of. Your potential, not made like for your purpose. We're talking about that. There is going to sound like immersion, immersion, but they're talking about the immersion, the emerging of one, of yourself, giving birth, the rising up of yourself, the emerging of who you are. Okay, so King of Swords is over here with that Seven of Pentacles. We're going to find out a little bit more on that. Let's get a little bit, nope. Who are we talking here? Okay, let's get a little, we're going to get a wisdom oracle on this King of Swords. Community. All right. Yeah, definitely. So this is bigger than just when we look at this and it's talk about the duality in the relationship and about the judging, because when it doesn't have to adjust here and adjust here in your life, you were the variable. You didn't get to be the constant. And that's why you don't understand what it's like to be in your chart. When you get in your chart, you are the constant. You are the establishment. That's why Hierophant's showing up. That's why we're moving. That is the energy that we're moving into, with Taurus becoming the head of the snake and Scorpio becoming the tail. And it begins to spin as we don't have to get in the cacophony and the chaos of that noise. That just becomes like our propeller above our head. And he's saying, don't even worry about it. Because it's going to be silent and swift like a barn owl. Just when it cranks up, it can seem a little bit disconcerting. Like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? Like when the hummingbird flies by you and you hear the vroom, vroom. But the hummingbird doesn't hear that. It's when it passes by. But this isn't going to pass you by, friend. This is coming to land. This is you. This is you landing in your chart. It's great spirit. Your spirit coming on in. It's that community. That type of relationship is you, the individual, but also the greater one, the divine one. And that's why the judgment is here. to like heal and anneal that, to bring you back together, all the compromise, all the tolerance, all you've done at piecing and parceling yourself out to be more than enough or not enough in people's measure mindsets and eyesight, that you began to see yourself from that conflicted way instead of being faceted and fascinating, like massaging the ruby. If you look back to last November, that's what Michael came in to do. This is what has been happening. You've been like a voodoo pincushion. But Prince did boom, boom. Taurus is here to save the day. And let me tell you, it ain't slow moving anymore. They're talking about springtime energy is coming with this. This emerging and this rising up for those who joyfully look to it, who've been longing for it, who have just been pained to no end, waiting for the victory to put an end to the errancy of that Leo, of that lion, of that prowling about, of the consumer, okay, of your mindset, of it driving you this way and that. And there's nothing with Leo, y'all. We're the whole zodiac. It's one of the ingredients that's talking about that it could drive you mad. It could drive you mad and it would never be enough because Leo is the star, right? And so it's not that you're trying to cater and bend to people's ideas. Those things are hitting your field because this is almost like a netting around you that is going on. Look closely because see, that's light coming out of your mouth, friend. But those things, we feel those accusations, we feel those sneers, those jeers, all that stuff. Even people like, if you're someone who's always been told you're strong, that and being revered for that, it's like you try and build yourself up until there's a day that you need to be weak. You've been so strong for yourself and for everyone else that where is that strong shoulder when you need it? Well, Emperor's coming in here to tell us a little bit more about that. But I will tell you, Taurus is going to go from the bull that's been squatting and sitting and holding space to one that's frolicking and flying about nice and free. I know we talk about energy world. I don't, about holding space and all that, because that's not what they've given me to speak on. They're talking to me about liberation. And in this case, everywhere you go, there you are. All right. You're not with or without. You're not too much or more than enough and not enough. That's not what's going on here. Taurus has come because it has to do with pleasure and possessions. And one thing we know about Taurus is easy goes it. Steady as you go. It's kind of like the tortoise and the hare in that race that we inherit when we slow down and we smell the roses, when we stop and we see what's going on. Okay, so they're talking about our energy cards that are up here at the top, y'all. This amber is that kinetic energy inside of you, not frenetic. That's what we're putting behind. That's what this is, that frenzy, kind of like a piranha fest, okay, on a stub toe. They want you to cherish and to honor and to nourish yourself. Journey is coming in like medicine for these that have been going on over here, for these old days, old ways, and old relationships, that those be dropped from you. And what I love about Chiron being here is Chiron provides the security and the tethering through our 4 angles so that our chart can be steadied while we enter into it, so that we don't get flung this way and that there is mastery and control, and that there is a hand at the wheel. It's like there's a 6th finger on your hand. And it's not talking about like this. It's that when they come together, something that happens is so different than when they're apart. Okay, it's about being able to bring things into your hand. That's kind of what manifest means. Because if you get your nails done, it's called a mani. If you get it done in your hand, because these are your manipulation. This is how you move it. It's not what we do on others. It's what we do on ourselves. Okay, so they're telling me to show you that our ship, kind of like when we sit in it, this thing that we're talking about here, y'all. You see our chart, our wheel of fortune. When I look up my chart, I look up the ones that are circular, because it looks a lot like Saturn. It looks like a Jetson mobile, like you're zipping around and that type of a thing. And they're saying you've now landed. It's time that you can come out. It's time that you can live. And I love it because you're coming out unto yourself. You're coming into the fullness of yourself, of knowing who you are, being clear-headed, clear-minded, owning your whole self. I love that. So part of what they want you to do is to open up to being in the outdoors. Not just this nature, that radiance that comes about that causes you to glow in your beauty and your shine of enjoying every day. Let there be work, let there be play. That's the mastery of the wheel. There's not this freedom. Yes, it is, but the freedom style that we desire is liberation, to be in our body. The power and the permission to go wherever we want, do whatever we want, what we desire, okay? That's once we get into the center of our chart, we move about freely like that without the grid of time or space. Being limited is something that's linear. It's not. It's got this dimension to it. So that like the Wonka Vader, if you've watched Willy Wonka, we can move this and about and all around, kind of like a queen on a chessboard, every single direction, but we forget also up. And that's what you're talking about. And you're going up is to rise up and to go out for walks, to go by the water, to do some reflecting and to do some action, because this is very much, this is coming in along with the King of Swords over here. Getting out in the fresh air, going for a walk, because as you begin to use and move your body to whatever level is comfortable for you, that begins to stir up the stardust of the earth, of the things there that are in your feet. Very Piscean energy is in the feet, all right? And that's why we want the moon down there, because when you get in the center of yourself, the moon can freely move up and down as it needs, okay? In a healthy relationship with yourself, whole coming together, okay? But also going out to reflect, to get by the water. There's fresh energies that are released around water, especially if you can be around some moving water right now. Just the sound of it. Just a few moments of even watching it. Maybe even get yourself a fountain, a little fountain, or just turn the sink on and watch the water flow or get a shower. But they're talking about that flowing water, that moving water is very restorative to you. And it takes you from the desert. This was never to make you a desert. It's just you didn't realize that this type of energy, how much water, like oceans, swimming pools, lakes, that the reservoir that it would take to keep things green and nourished, all right? So it's just as important to work and play. But we were taught to cram our days full, to really fill it out, to flesh it out, to push it out to the excess, to where there is no room for movement. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, so desk, he's not ready yet. So we're going to get their counterparts in a moment. But that leads on to the King of Cups. And King of Cups is now wanting to talk to her. Where is she? There she is. Now she's going to bring a message. This seems to be upside down. Look at that. Queen of Cups. When you find the sun, you find your counterpart. Your counterpart. Y'all, you're getting to the bottom of the top of everything. You're like, I want to know the full depth of the measure and the extent to which I can go. This is a Jupiterian, okay? When we get past this hangman energy of being stuck and tethered and tied, our Jupiter energy can expand for us. And it'll look like this, because this is you in your chart. Zoom, 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 zoom. I wonder about this. Zoom. You know, I wonder about that. Zoom. Oh, I'd like to be over there. Zoom. That's very much what it's like, that liberation. And that's the justice for all that you've endured. That's the freedom that's there, because it wasn't a sacrifice that you were making, friend. It was an investment. And they want you to realize and take a look at yourself and be pleased with yourself and be fascinated with who you are, with what all that has occurred. Isn't it wild that sunshine can grow plants? Yeah. All right. So Miss Sun, Miss Potential is ready to see now what had been in the shadow and what had been hidden, buried in the journey was this Queen of Cups. We were just talking about that queen, that power to move about freely. But in the full dimension, because water has that body, it has that dimension, and plasma is like air and water. It has that body and dimension, but you imagine climbing into the ocean and then you step out and you're dry. You get to feel the viscosity of the water, the freedom of the water, the movement of the water, the coolness or warmth of the water, and whatever it is, the effervescence, and then you come on out and you're dry. Just like a photo shoot, okay? That's what they're talking about here. Now, so this King of Cups wants you to dispose of old ideas of love. So we're going to take that moment right now, okay, and we're going to clear that out. We're going to dislodge, thank you, okay, so King of Swords and Queen of Swords are now focusing on the same energy. So we've made almost a full circuit, like at a skating rink, if you've ever done that, through the action potential. That's what these two are here about in this divine relationship. Remember this affording of the Two of Cups, wherever that went? This with the eyes, the aligning of the eyes and the journey and it landing and the mind being whole. So let's find out about, let's get some energy on releasing that. Whose card do we need? Okay, forgive me while I look. Just a second, y'all. Thank you. Ooh, yes. All right, here we go. We getting some dream weaving here, y'all. All right, let's go on in with this. And let's release this whole, because I want you to see it. This is why I called in for the Queen. This is what divine partnership is about, okay? And because a community's coming in, this isn't just your lover, man or woman. It doesn't matter what you consider your lover relationship of gender to be. We're talking about the lover relationship here, but also community. That you're wherever you work in business, that there's a two-way street, there's equal respect, there is love. Because love isn't always this gushy thing. It's like this established power. Look at that. Talk about self-respect. See that sword between his legs? That is self-respect, owning yourself. Things of responsibility so it doesn't go tipping and cavorting about into over-responsible and into lazy. All right, so they wanted to wrap it up because this is getting to be a lot for you guys. But look at that. That octopus energy, that's sacrificial. That means for the next generation benefit, you must die. That's the cup that you tossing out, is no more having to put yourself out unto death. That phoenixing energy that we talked about, no more. We can call for the final phoenix. It's the Tower of all towers. It doesn't mean your life has to fall apart. Matter of fact, it can actually come together. And when you land in your ship and it gets all nice and quiet in there, kind of like when you're getting ready for takeoff, you're like, oh, okay, I got some excitement here. It gets that strange little hushy quiet from the air suction units going on. Okay, so that's the Queen with her waters. Okay, stand up from her throne. So Queen, get us a card. How do we release this, that sacrificial vibe, that cup? Because see, King, you don't need to hold the cup for your lover here anymore. You're not here to offer two cups, Pisces. Okay? So whether this is you or you, it doesn't mean man or woman. Whether you're the one who's given up that cup, because your person has their own. This is someone who's come into their own right. Matter of fact, they wield it. Look at that thing. Look at that, with knowledge and wisdom and power. All right, so Queen of Cups and the world is here to offer her assistance. Okay, this is cosmic world. See that divine world here to offer assistance, talking about the golden self and the high heart. I see you. The golden self and the high heart coming on in, which is what Justice was saying as well. So with that, we have the Spirit of Swords, the Seven of Swords, and the Six of Swords. Doing away with that game. Stop playing that game. Stop playing that game. It's like Russian roulette. It's like cat and mouse, and they're getting into the finger of it for a moment, just like that putting yourself at risk. Because it's not just like physical STDs that people can get, socially transmitted diseases as well. It's those things that you get from picking up around other people and their energy. And it has to do with attraction, scorpionic energy, the fire and the water, some of your mastery. Because Scorpio can kind of resonate as pre-magician energy, working with a couple of the elements, balancing them together. And that can make you look so fine and divine because oh, what kind of spells you got going up in there? All right, but that's needing to be released now. It's just being known for the external beauty, the external attraction, and whether that was it or not, that's where the mind relegated kind of to paper, to surface, to exterior, when really they're wanting you to fully, High Priestess, thank you, is showing up here with the Nine of Discs, to fully inhabit your beauty. Otherwise, it's going to turn on you. We'll start posting, teaching videos here about that. About when you live in the center of your chart and use the energies, the ingredients that are in it, there won't be that sabotage going on anymore. And that's why it's an element of self-sabotage here that is being done to you externally through others, is because you weren't aware of that. You weren't aware of your power and your authority. Okay? Your power to sit and your authority to rise. All right? And the earth greet you and meet you. All right, so it wants to take that out of here. So the King here is what he has released. Oh, the Sun. Feeling responsible for everyone just because you can see. Just because you can see. They're wanting you to be able to get out of that. Because like this King, he's been seated upon his throne almost like since birth. Like, this is what I have to do. It's talking about obligation. Obligation to always be beautiful, be shiny, be the eye, be the sun, be the raw for others. And that raw makes you roar. Okay. So let's take it on out of here with this. We got the Wheel of Fortune coming on in. Talk about that snake balancing the nodes to check the nodes out for a deeper knowing. Now, you guys, if you've been here with me this whole time, bless you all. Remember, the universe always has your back. And know that I love you. Leave me comments, compliments down below. Compliment yourself. But right now, boom, give it that thumbs up. Get YouTube all titillated and excited with your powerful magnetic energy. Hey, I vote for you. I love you. Talk soon. Bye.